What is up, everybody? Welcome in. We are back to the Shecago podcast where we talk the Shecago Bears. And we have a fun day today. As you can see, I'm already in my Bears gear as we get ready for our Sunday night football matchup. It is time for the Bears to have their first test in a primetime matchup, Shecago Bears versus the Houston Texans. Now, obviously, if you follow me on Twitter, I've talked about it a little bit, but I think the rest of the Twitter world has already pretty much got it under wraps on talking about how this is a game that is a big deal. It's a big deal and it's not a big deal because I think a lot of us are expecting to probably lose this game. However, it is a true test. I think the first true test for this Bears team going against a team that at least last year was in the playoffs. So I think most people who are sports media, who follow football, are expecting the Texans to be a playoff team again this year. So it's a very good test for this Bears team that we have hopes can make it to the playoffs, potentially in a wild card spot maybe. Still early in the season. It's only week 2, so, it's not extremely high stakes. We're probably going to be a different team at the end of the season than we are at the beginning of the season, but still a very good test early on in our schedule. And yeah, it's going to be the only game on tonight, so it's going to be a fun one. And the whole nation is going to be watching. What is up? Bear down. Thank you for joining. So we have some games that have already happened today across the NFL. All of our division has already played. So we had the Bears. We had the Vikings, who won. We had the Packers, who won. And we had the Lions, who lost. So if the Bears lose today, every team... Oh, that's a lie. The leader of the division right now would be the Minnesota Vikings. For a second, I thought they lost week 1, but they didn't. So if the Bears lose today, Minnesota is leading the division. Once again, it's week 2, so I have a feeling that will change. But if the Bears somehow win today, we're going to be tied for first with Minnesota for the division. So if we didn't already know that our division is going to be one of the hardest ones in football, all of us having relatively the same record already going into week 2, or coming out of week 2, I guess, it's a pretty good indicator that I think for the rest of the season, we're going to see our division have flipping of roles quite frequently. We're going to see a new team leading the division, a new team at the bottom. We're going to see some teams in the middle mixing it up. And I don't think until we get close to the end of the season, because that's when we have all our division games, are we actually going to see who the true winners of this division are. So it's already shaken out to be an interesting division to watch. But as the season goes on, I think it's just going to be even more so. The Packers did lose Jordan Loveless. See what I did there? But they won without Jordan Love. But once again, Matt LaFleur is their head coach. And I think he is not talked about enough for Jordan Love's success. I'm not saying it's all on him, but I do think Matt LaFleur is a genius of a head coach and offensive coordinator. And he is deserving of most of the success the team has. But I think the most interesting win was the Green Bay Packers because they played the Colts, and we play the Colts next after tonight. So I really think that was an interesting game because I've actually been flip-floppy on how I think the Bears and Colts are going to match up against each other, and I thought it could be a good game. And it's very interesting because the Colts played the Texans last week, who we played this week, and they scored, 24 points last week? And I was thinking, oh, they're stacking up quite nice against the Texans, then we might be in trouble. And then they play the Packers and they only score 10 points and Anthony Richardson throws 2 picks. So I really have no idea what to expect with this Colts team. And we'll talk more about that next week when we play them next week. But they also played the Texans, who gave up quite a few points to a Colts team that only scored 10 against the Green Bay Packers. So does that mean it's just week one jitters? Does that mean the Colts offense is better than we expected? Or does that mean the Houston defense was worse than we expected and the Packers defense is better than we expect? I don't know. All I know is it's very weird seeing the win-losses against two teams that we are playing back-to-back. So something to keep an eye on. I was just kind of following what was going on around the league, and I found that a bit interesting. So in a way, it almost made it feel like maybe we do have a shot tonight because maybe Houston's defense isn't as good as it's projected to be. And we're going to get into that in a little bit here. But let me look at some comments here. We have Angus Quinn excited. Me too. Scottish Bear, welcome back. The whole world will be watching. Yes, they will, which makes me nervous. I saw a tweet earlier today that said something about they're like the embarrassing cousin that you like bring around, or was it the embarrassing friend or something you bring around to a family gathering and you're like, just please don't embarrass me. That's the Bears. It feels like going to prime time because you just don't know. Sometimes they come out and they show out, and sometimes we're a laughing stock for the next week. I do hope this is a different team. However, our offense had some issues this past week. A lot of issues, actually, almost all of them. So, yeah, please just be better, Caleb Williams in the offense, but we'll get into that in a bit here too. 27. Was that what the score was last week? Richardson stinks. I don't know if Richardson stinks. I've always been uncertain about him. He had such high hype around him, but I've always thought, the dude has like no experience. He had very, very little experience coming to the NFL, then got hurt his rookie season, and now has really only started a handful of games. I've always been uncertain on how I think he has a high ceiling, but if he'll ever reach that, I don't know. So seeing him struggle is not shocking to me. I just don't know if he's going to end up putting it all together or if he's always going to be a quarterback that, because he didn't have the experience coming into the league, will he be able to develop that in time to catch up to all the other quarterbacks and defenses around the league? I don't know, but I guess we'll find out. But let us get into our talk of the stream today, which is the Bears versus the Texans. So we have Bears versus Texans, a primetime matchup. Like we said, both teams are 1-0. The Texans were a playoff team last year. The Bears are a hopeful playoff team this year. Will they be? We don't know. But maybe, honestly, I would say if the Bears somehow squeak out a win here, it would be a good indicator because the team can only improve from here. It's a new offense, new offensive coordinator, a rookie quarterback. We have new skill players on the offense, like a lot of new things on the offensive side of the ball. So if we're somehow able to turn it around after week one and win this game, I have pretty high hopes for the rest of the season. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves here. So let's jump in and look at a brief little summary I wrote up here and that should not say Texans offense. That should just say Texans. So that's a typo by me. Once again, I am my own producer. Anyways, so looking at the Bear side here, we have some key moments or key factors on both sides of both teams here. So the Bears, wide receivers healthy. Are they healthy? So right now it seems, luckily I'm doing this podcast a little bit late and I purposely kind of did that also to see if we got some wide receiver news. It sounds like Rome Odunze, who last podcast we talked about how he had a knee injury, is doing okay. He went from week to week to day, and now it appears like he might be playing. He might be on a limited snap count. I don't know. But he was limited in practice on Friday, which is a good sign. It's usually a pretty good indicator that he might be able to play this week. Obviously, he is our other first-round draft pick. We're going to need him more later in the season than we need him right now. So if there's any risk for further injury, sit him. Don't play him. However, based on what Rome said himself, talking to doctors, it is a minimal It sounds like it might not even be a grade 1 sprain of his MCL. It sounds like it might just have been tweaked a bit. And he spoke to 2 different doctors, and they both said that he is not at risk for further injury. So I'm going to take doctor's word over my own brain and assume that if that's the case, Rome's playing. That's my guess right now. That's kind of what it's hinting towards. Now the big question is Keenan Allen. Keenan Allen had injury issues with the Chargers when he was in LA, and he didn't play the last season with the Chargers. Now they said that the injury he had, if the Chargers were in playoff contention, then he would have been able to play. And maybe that's the same stuff going on right now for him, but he did not practice all week with a heel injury. DJ Moore, I think on Monday, was interviewed about it, and he said, oh, Keenan's just being an old man, he'll play. So, is it the Bears erring on the side of caution and Keenan Allen, being the vet that he is, giving him extra rest days this week so that he could be ready to go Sunday? Maybe. But do I also find it concerning that he didn't practice all week and now is questionable for the game? Yes. Now, if you paid attention to what the Bears did while we were sleeping, we did activate, what is it? What is his name? Cole Johnson? Johnson Coleman? Oh my God, what is his name? I'm totally blanking. But the dude who played in one preseason game before he got hurt, big-bodied wide receiver, he was activated from the practice squad last night, which usually is an indication someone's not playing, would be my guess. Or it could just be, no, it probably is an indication someone's not playing, because that would probably mean Tyler Scott is going to be active for the game this week, or today, and someone is sitting out, or someone is on a limited snap count. So maybe Rome is fully ready to go, and Keenan Allen is playing but on limited snap count. Colin Johnson, thank you. I don't know why. I think I was I was watching who's Coleman? Coleman from the Bills. I think I had him in my head for some reason. So thank you. I was having a mind blank, but Colin Johnson was activated. So I feel that that's indicating, if I had to place my bets, that Keenan Allen's not playing. So all that to say that could be a big factor in this game, because, we've talked all offseason about how, the Bears are so dynamic. We have 3 number 1 wide receivers. We have 2 great tight ends. And then last week, all 3 wide receivers got shaken up. Even DJ Moore was in the medical tent at some point. So it's very scary to see how quickly it can all go downhill. And Cole Kmet barely had he had a lower snap count than Gerald Everett, which we don't want. Our run game was non-existent. So a lot of things happening in week 1 that were not ideal. So the health of our wide receivers is in question, which could end up being a big factor in this game. Now, also for the Bears, dynamic running back room, tight end room. I would like to think we have one. I do still think we have one. We didn't see it week 1, but we have DeAndre Swift. We have Khalil Herbert. We have Roschon Johnson. We have Travis Homer. If we can we have Velus Jones Jr. now. If we can get these guys moving and actually pick up some yardage for the offense, our running back room can really help carry this game and take the load off of Caleb Williams, and especially if we're down some starting wide receivers, take the load off his shoulders, take the load off the wide receivers, and also allow them to have a little bit more of a dynamic offense. As for the tight end room, like I just talked about, we didn't see much of it last week. I do think, based on Shane Waldron's press conference, it sounds like he's aware the personnel was not exactly what it should have been. So hopefully, now keep in mind, I'll get into this in a minute, but keep in mind, this is new for everybody. So it's going to take a minute to work out the personnel for certain plays and what they're trying to do, right? But I do think we're going to see more of Cole Kmet this game. And especially if we're down a wide receiver, or God forbid two, Cole Kmet is going to be a very nice target for Caleb Williams if we have him out there to attack the middle of the field, a good red zone threat. I really think and hope we see more of Cole Kmet and Gerald Everett, but I think even if we're down a wide receiver, having the running back room we have and having the tight end room we have, we still have plenty of options for Caleb Williams to distribute the ball to. So I'm not overly worried, but these are all definitely factors in this game. And more factors that this Houston defense is going to have to defend. If all three wide receivers are in, it makes it that much harder on this Houston defense. Even if we're down one, we still have a lot of playmakers on this team. Now, the other question mark here, Caleb Williams. I know we don't want to hear it, and I don't want to get into overreactions, but can Caleb Williams have a better week than week one? Lord knows we hope so. It was not a good start for him this past week. It was pretty much as bad as it could have gone besides the interception and turnover. And even then, if he's thrown for like 400 yards and has one interception, that's okay. But it's going to be, this week doesn't get any easier than last week. I will say, I do think that this Houston defense isn't necessarily as good as the Titans defense, but Caleb has to improve. There were some things he did really well. There were some things that I think, I don't know. It seemed he was reading the field okay, but he had some accuracy issues. With some of that is timing with that wide receiver. Some of it is him processing the game too quickly and moving his feet too quickly, not setting his feet, everything else. But I think Caleb Williams is the big question mark in this game because we haven't seen yet. We saw in preseason, doesn't really count. We haven't seen yet what happens if Caleb Williams is the Caleb Williams that we know he can be, that he was in college. If he can be that version of him, or even half of that version of him in this week's game, I think that could be the biggest X factor. If Caleb Williams is wheeling and dealing and picking up some yards, extra yards with his feet, we might see a little bit more of an explosive offense than Houston was ready for. So I genuinely do think that Caleb Williams might be the biggest X factor in this game for the Bears and for the Texans because they don't know yet what to expect from him. So Caleb Williams for sure is going to be a key factor in this game. We have Montez Sweat, Andrew Billings, our secondary. Obviously, more pieces besides those two players that I mentioned by name, but we have some key pieces on defense. As we all know, our defense carried the game last week. So having those guys, some of the key players on defense, stay healthy, our secondary stay healthy, and have the game like they had last week, honestly, I would like to see Montez Sweat even more. I would like to see Austin Booker a little bit more. But granted, he didn't even have to play because Taylor was playing so well. So I would like to see that continue. And if the defense can continue like how it did last week, I think we are set up well to go against a pretty explosive Houston offense, which leads us to the Texans side of the ball. So for the Texans on offense, they have Stephon Diggs to CJ Stroud connection. Oops. I feel that kind of speaks for itself. Stephon Diggs is a beast. He is now catching balls from CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud, as we see right here, had one of the best rookie seasons a quarterback has ever had. He is good. I do wonder what he's going to look like this year now that teams have tape on him. However, he has a lot of weapons around him as well. So I don't really expect him to have too many struggles. And he has a new number one wide receiver. So the Bears in their secondary are going to have a great game. They had a great game last week, but, winning that turnover battle, picking off CJ Stroud, who threw very limited interceptions in his rookie season, it's going to be difficult, but I honestly think that is going to be a key to the game. And it's going to be a key on the Houston side if they can keep up with our defense. And I think it will be a good test to see how good is our defense really? How well can we stack up against a potential playoff caliber team this early in the season? And I'm hoping it doesn't come down to the defense winning us the game again, because hopefully the offense can actually do something. However, I'm really hoping that this is a good sign for the defense, that they weren't just good against mediocre teams. Our defense is also really good against playoff teams, which would be a great sign for this Bears team and our defense. James Terrell, you are the best. You're the best. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you watching. Lawrence, with all due respect, I know you love the Bears. They are not going to win. Well, I haven't actually given my prediction yet. And also, you never know. They potentially could. We don't know. But maybe stay till the end and see what my prediction is for the game. And you'll find out. So, another thing for the Texans is we have Joe Mixon run and pass game. Joe Mixon had, if you watched the week 1, made himself involved not just in the passing game, but also as a wide receiver. Once again, this is another threat that the Bears defense is going to have to go against from this Houston offense. For Houston, the game plan is probably pretty simple. Do what they already do. Keep the offense explosive, distribute the ball to its wide receivers, and run the ball through Joe Mixon. Now, if you're the Bears, we need to limit their run game and limit them to a more passing-styled offense, which CJ Stroud can do, but that allows the Houston Texans to play against the strength of the Bears defense, which is our secondary. So, for the Houston Texans, what they need to do is have a very balanced rushing and passing attack, which can maybe limit the Bears defense a little bit, but it's going to be a true test. And also for the Texans, their edge rushers. So last week, the Bears went against a Titans defense with a good interior defensive line, but they didn't have stellar edge rushers, and they caused pressure from the middle. Now let's just hope that the Houston Texans didn't watch tape on that and decide to pressure us through the middle, but that's besides the point. They have good edge rushers. I wouldn't say they have the same interior defensive line that the Titans did, so I'm less worried about pressure up the middle this week, but I am more so worried about their edge rushers. However, for the Bears, our strength on the offensive line is our edges right now. So they kind of stack up well against each other. So I think for Houston, the key is going to be either somehow find a way to attack the interior of the offensive line or hope your edge rushers, one of them can get home. We'll see what happens. But also, if Shane Waldron is smart, he'll set up some tight end sets to help extra block our edges and give Caleb some more time to throw on some of our passing downs. But we'll see how it all kind of shakes out. But I would say the edge rushers for the Houston Texans is a little bit more concerning than their interior defensive line. Now, when it comes to the Bears' keys to win this game. Now, I've talked about it a little bit. Those were kind of the key factors on each team. But now for our Bears' keys to win the game. So, we will start here. Keys to a Bears win. Odunze and Allen playing. Now, we've already talked about this, so I won't harp on it forever. But a big factor, and if we're going to be able to win this game, I think, is if at least one of Odunze or Allen plays. I think we can survive if they don't play, because I also think we all have already expected that Keenan Allen will miss time this year. He missed time last year. He's getting older. He has that heel issue that seems to be a continuous issue. But if they're both out, then it's essentially the same passing corps that we had last year, which we don't want. So, DJ Moore is still great, but the man can't do it all himself. So, I think a key to a Bears win is we need at least Odunze or at least Keenan Allen to be in this game. I would say I would prefer Keenan Allen because of the veteran presence. However, Rome Odunze, granted the limited time we've seen him, really seems to have a grasp on the offense and finding a way to get open. Caleb just has to find him. So I would really love to see Rome get more touches on the ball if he is in, and of course, stay healthy. But I do think a key to the Bears being able to win this game this week is having at least one of the two wide receivers in this game tonight. I keep saying this week, but the game is tonight. It's in a few hours. Tyler Scott breakout. So I have this on here because I expect one of Rome or Keenan to not play. Hopefully it's not both that are sitting out, but I expect one of them to be sitting out, which would mean Tyler Scott, you're up next. And I think in order for the Bears to come away with the win, Tyler Scott has to get some touches. And I do think Caleb has enough playmakers to distribute the ball to, let's say, DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, DeAndre Swift, Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett. He has options, but I think, Tyler Scott, if he's playing, the defense is probably not going to have as the biggest threat on the Bears offense, which also means he's probably going to be more open than DJ or Rome Odunze are. So I think a key to the Bears winning this game is if Tyler Scott is in, he has a kind of breakout game. And that doesn't have to be some stellar numbers. Tyler Scott has had very limited action, and when he played last year, it was underwhelming. So I think if the Bears come away with a win here, it's because Tyler Scott has a few plays that can be his little breakout moment and allow us to win the game. One thing I don't have on here, which was dumb of me because I thought I wrote it and I didn't, but a key factor that for some reason I forgot to write down in the Bears winning, establishing the run game. The Bears need to establish the run. Last week, we could not do so. I don't know why. I don't know how, but we really struggled to run the ball. If the Bears want to win this week, we have to find a way to get the run game going. I think we will, especially against this defensive line for Houston. I think we have a better shot at it. We got the week 1 jitters out of the way. We've hopefully worked on some stuff during practices, but I think a key here is going to be getting the run game going. And it's not just with DeAndre Swift. I do think DeAndre Swift is going to be a big factor in us winning this game, but we need to see the mix in. We need to see some Khalil Herbert. Did he even get touches last game? I feel like he barely did if he did. Don't get me wrong. DeAndre Swift should still get the majority of the touches, but go with the hot hand. If DeAndre Swift is working, keep running it until it's not working with him. Flip it over to Khalil Herbert. If you need a hard-nosed running back to push through for a yard, give the ball to Khalil Herbert or Roschon Johnson. I really would like to see us establish more of a running game because that's going to open us up to be able to have better passing plays. Because last week, because our run game was so ineffective, we had to rely on the passing game, which put Caleb Williams, rookie quarterback, in his first NFL start in a bit of a sticky situation. We don't want to do that against a potential playoff team. So if Caleb Williams is going to have a better game this week, we need to get the run game going. So that is for sure going to be a big key factor in the Bears winning this game. Next up, we have Caleb Williams' improvement. Now, it should kind of speak for itself. Caleb Williams needs to have a better game than he had last week. Last week was about as bad of a game as Caleb Williams has probably ever had in his football career. And I really don't think that's a stretch. I think that has probably been one of his poorest performances. Not a great way to start the season, but I'm not panicking. And I would really like to see, like I said, if the run game is getting established, he has a better shot at it. But I just want to see, some improvement from last week. Connect on some of those deep balls. Get rid of the ball quick, but don't rush your feet. Don't rush your footwork to try to get rid of the ball quick. Trust your timing, trust where your feet are, trust where you're looking, and then let it rip. But I would really like to see the passing game get established in this one. And I think if the Bears are to win, we have to get some explosive plays in there. We have to connect on some of those deep balls. We might have to have some Caleb Williams outside the pocket magic, but we also need to have some in structure playing on time Caleb Williams passing quarterback if we want to win. Now, some people might be wondering why I don't have in the same realm Shane Waldron calling a better game in here or better play calling. And that is because I actually didn't hate everything Waldron did last week. I think the personnel usage wasn't always great, and he admitted that in his presser, so I'm sure they're working on it. And it was the first game of the season. Like, keep in mind, this is all new personnel for him too, and working everything. Like, it's going to take a minute for everything to click, everything to connect. And also, the offensive line was piss poor. The O-line was piss poor, and the run game was not going. So there's only so much a play caller can do with that. And truth be told, Caleb Williams also wasn't playing well. So there's only so much an OC can do with that. Did he call everything perfectly? No. But do I think we should be calling for his head after week 1? Absolutely not. I still have a lot of faith in Shane Waldron and his play calling and where he could take Caleb Williams and this offense. It's just going to take some time to gel. But going and coinciding with Caleb Williams, I would like to see some signs of that tonight during this game. Now, another thing that I didn't put on this list, which was poor by me, was the offensive line. Ryan Bates went on IR this morning, or was it last night? Either way, he's not playing. He is going on IR for shoulder elbow injury, which means Nate Davis will be at right guard, which I don't think is a problem. Nate Davis isn't bad when he's playing, but he's a little rusty because he didn't play all of practice. He didn't play all of preseason. Like, he needs to get his act together a little bit. But that also means the Bears are even more short on O-line depth, which I know Ryan Poles said this is the best O-line depth we've had since I've been here. Okay. But the Bears O-line needs to perform better. If the run game, if the passing game has any hope this week, it is by the offensive line having a better game this week. Now, I will say the game would have looked a little different if Caleb Williams would have connected on some of those passes last week. If we could have just had a few more runs, if. But that being said, if we make some of those improvements this week, we'll see a bit of a different Bears offense. So that all starts with the O-line actually blocking and doing its job. So my hope is that that is the case and that everyone comes out healthy, especially Caleb Williams. Now, defense, repeat performance, and takeaways. People, our defense had a good game last week. And I know some are going to argue it was just against the Texans and Will Levis won you the game. Let's not forget Velus Jones also dropped a kickoff that, had he not dropped that, the Titans probably wouldn't have scored there. But that's besides the point. That was last week. This is this week. However, if the Bears defense can do what they did last week, which is come away with two takeaways and get some sacks on the quarterback, I think we're in some pretty good position this week to have a shot at winning the game. This is not going to be an easy one to win. That being said, the Titans defense doesn't necessarily completely scare me. I will say I was a little bit more worried about the Titans defense than the Texans. Maybe that's a bit foolish of me, but that's just my opinion. I think the Titans really upgraded on their D-line and their secondary. The Texans still have a good defense, but I feel our offense could have some better success. So, that being said, if they can, it really comes down to our defense because CJ Stroud and this offense are dynamic and they're explosive. Our defense doesn't need to do anything crazy, but we do need to at least have a game like we had last week. The defense really can't choke on this one. And I don't like saying that because our defense has been very good and, a lot of it is going on their shoulders. But that being said, if we have any hope of winning this game, we need to win the turnover battle. We need to get some picks on CJ Stroud, force some fumbles. We need to get some 3 and outs. Like, this defense really has to perform, and they know that. So that also means they have to stay healthy. But I genuinely think if the Bears defense can have a game like they had last week, it does give us a shot at winning. If the Bears defense can do that, then all the offense has to do is score a few points, which, coming off of last week, not really feasible. But hopefully we're seeing a different offense this week. So a key takeaway here is we need this Bears defense to perform at least like it did last week. Let me see some comments here. Scottish Bear, the Texans secondary is better than the Titans secondary. The Titans interior D-line is better than the Texans interior D-line. The Texans edge rushers is far superior to the Titans. Texans better whole. So I agree. I will say the Titans added to their secondary, so I didn't think their secondary was that bad. The Texans secondary is good, but I don't know if I don't know. Maybe I'm just being too optimistic, but I don't know if I'm as concerned about their secondary for some reason. But their edge rushers are legit for the Texans. Hopefully our offensive line can hold up, but that's where I say the only part of our offensive line I'm semi-confident in is our edges. So if we can keep those sturdy, Caleb Williams should have a good shot at having some time in the pocket to make the right reads and get things done. But that's also why I said a lot of it's going to rely on this run game and getting that run game established. I'm not confident our interior O-line scares me. I feel that. our interior O-line scares me too. I mean, it's hard because even Tevin had a rough game last week, and Tevin is usually like one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. So I really hope some of it was also first game jitters and rust coming off, and now that they've had a game under their belts, they perform a bit better. That's my hope. That's my optimism speaking. Am I concerned? Absolutely. But hopefully we've shaken off the rust and we see a little bit more of a competent offensive line this week, because yeah, that was rough, and that does concern me too. Now, already kind of talked about this, but balanced personnel. The one knock, like I said, I would give on Shane Waldron from last week was that it wasn't necessarily his play calling, but the choice in personnel. Like, why did Cole Kmet get less snaps than Gerald Everett? Why was Cole Kmet not utilized in the middle of the field passing? Red zone target, areas where he thrives for the Bears. I would like to see that fixed. I would like to see Khalil Herbert get some more touches on the football in the running back room. I think all of those factors are really important to a Bears win. So I'm not so much worried about the play calling. I'm not hitting the panic button on that. I actually liked a lot of the play calling, but I want to see better personnel usage, and I do think that is going to be a key to winning this game. Is we have to get our skill players in there, especially if we're down one wide receiver, God forbid two. We got to get those playmakers out there. We need to get Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson, DeAndre Swift, mix up who's carrying the ball, get them in some, different packages, utilize Velus Jones, honestly, and utilize our tight ends, whether that's in blocking or whether that's in as passing targets. Let your playmakers work and utilize them in the packages they're meant to be in. So, personnel, big one, I think, is going to be a key difference this week. And explosive tight ends, like I already just talked about. Having our tight ends utilized in the right ways. I won't keep harping on it too much because I just talked about it, but get Cole Kmet more touches. Utilize Gerald Everett. Utilize them both in the blocking game, but also utilize them both in the passing game, especially if we're down a wide receiver. A tight end like Cole Kmet can be a rookie quarterback's best friend, and I really think he could be, especially in the red zone. So I would really like to see that improvement, and I think that type of improvement will make a difference in this game. So let me take a sip of my beverage because my throat was dry. Cheers. Now, when it comes to the game, drum roll. Who am I picking to win this game? It is Sunday night. It is a close matchup. It is a rookie quarterback against the former one of the best rookie quarterback performances we'd ever seen in CJ Stroud. A very highly touted, talented Bears defense against a very highly touted, talented offense in CJ Stroud and the Texans. A question mark on the Bears offense versus a pretty good Houston Texans defense. Now, I know what the numbers say. I know what the odds say. I know what the media is saying, and I know they're all going with the Texans, but as a Bears fan, I unfortunately also have to go with the Texans. Bum, bum, bum. I was leading you up to think I was choosing the Bears, and I really wanted to. I wanted to buy into the hype, but guys, this Houston Texans team is good. The Bears offense has not proved enough at all to show that they can win in a shootout. And we can't always rely on the Bears defense to get us a win, especially against a good offense like this one. So I have the Texans winning. I have the score 24-17. I do think the Bears offense can get some more points on the board this week. And I also think the Texans still score, but the Bears defense is able to get some stops in there. I've seen some people predict scores with like upper 30 scores. I don't think the Bears defense is going to allow that. God, I hope not. But I don't think our Bears defense is just going to totally choke. I do think our defense will come in clutch in some key moments. Maybe it'll be close for a little bit, and then the Houston Texans kind of run away with it at the end. But unfortunately, I do have to go with the Houston Texans. I just don't think the Bears are quite ready to verse a playoff contender, and I don't think it's the end of the world if we lose. Even if we lose terribly, it's going to suck, and it wouldn't be a great sign. However, like I said, I think we're going to be a much different team towards the end of the season, and I also think even coming off of the bye, the Bears are going to be a much different team than they are this first half of the season. We're going to see some kinks worked out. We're going to see some efficiency on offense. Caleb Williams start to come into his own, but I don't know if it's going to happen this week. Now, I will say, if somehow the Bears pull off the upset and beat the Houston Texans, Bears fans will not shut up. We will never be able to shut up about it. And honestly, I don't blame us, because not only are we on prime time for the world to watch, but also that would be a damn good indicator of where the Bears are at. If we're able to beat a Houston Texans team that is predicted to be a playoff team again, that says a lot about this Bears team, considering we're only 2 weeks in. So sky's the limit of where we could go if that's the case. But I unfortunately do have to kind of go with the Houston Texans winning this one, which sucks. Houston Texans all day, and I see you in your Houston Texans gear. So, I'm not going to take offense to it because you're repping your team, and also I predicted the Houston Texans to win. But I hope the Bears kick your ass. Bears are winning. Caleb's elite. He'll remind us all tonight. I hope you're right. And I do think eventually Caleb will have his breakout game. It's going to be up and down. He's going to have some more bad games. Hopefully nothing as bad as week 1. But he's going to have some bad games. But I really do think his breakout game is upon us at some point. I don't know if it's tonight. If it is tonight, holy cow. What a stage to do it on. But if it's not tonight, it'll come at some point. The guy's got to get used to the NFL, used to his play calling, used to calls in his helmet, like everything. But if it is tonight, it's going to be a good game. It's going to be a really good game. Let's see. Houston Texans is a win. Yay, we know. It'll be a good game. I do think it'll be a good game. I think and I hope we do see a better Bears offense, which in turn will make it a more interesting game. If our defense can keep performing the way it has and our offense can perform at least slightly like how we think they can, I do think this could be a good game. And it's still early enough in the season that both teams are still finding their stride. Now, the Texans definitely have, the advantage in that as well, considering of last year. But I do think the Bears have a shot. I wouldn't say it's going to be a complete blowout. And I wouldn't say there's no chance for the Bears to win. I do think, like I said, if some things go our way, and also if the offense suddenly figures it out in week 2, it could happen. I mean, even looking at week 1, the Bears offense, it looked bad in real time. But watching it back, there was a lot of moments that, if Caleb Williams wasn't rushing his feet and would have connected on the pass, there's a lot of moments that would have looked different. Now that's playing the if game or the but game. But I do think that if some of those kinks are worked out for tonight, it can be a pretty close game. And honestly, we don't know as Bear fans, and the Houston Texans don't know either, what this Bears offense truly looks like. So none of us know what to expect if this offense starts gelling. As fans, we're going to love it. As the Texans, they're not going to know because they really don't have any tape on what we're going to do or what we can do or what we can be. We don't even know. So I do think if that were to happen tonight, it could be very interesting. I kind of think that Caleb Williams' breakout game will come maybe like the Jaguars game because I don't think their defense is that good. But, and I know it's in London and people think the Jaguars automatically win in London, but I think differently. But I'm hoping for a good game on the primetime stage and the Bears at least put up a fight and put on a show. I hate talking about games like predicting your own team to lose because, of course, I'm always rooting for the win. It's just hard to bet against the Texans right now. However, like I said, all hope is not lost. I do think that this Bears team does have a shot. I think it'll be a good game. And I'm really excited to see the progress of this Bears team, of Caleb Williams, the offense, and to just see where we're at after playing against a potential playoff contender team. So that is all I have for tonight. Our game starts in 2.5 hours? It starts 7:30, I think, Central Time, right? So 2.5 hours, our game starts, and we will find out how this Bears offense and this Bears team actually look. This will also be a good test for Matt Eberflus. This is going to be one of the most talented quarterbacks he's gone against so far, being the Bears head coach. He's gone against a few, but it'll be another good test for him going against a talented team and seeing how he does coach-wise and also coordinating the defense. So I'm excited for that as well. Hopefully some quality coaching from Matt Eberflus, from Shane Waldron, and let's let our playmakers execute, and let's hope for good health. But that is all I got for you guys today. If you're a Bears fan, let's go. Bear down. Let's hope for a win. Don't lose hope. We could still win this game. And if you're a Texans fan, thank you for watching. I appreciate you joining the live stream. Feel free to come check out my other content because I don't only make Bears content. Throughout the season, I'll also be making other NFL content. So if you just enjoy watching NFL stuff, subscribe to the channel because I got you covered. But let's have a good game, guys. I'm excited. Let's hope everyone on both teams stays healthy. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Let's get a Bears win. Whoa, I didn't mean to do that. But the truth is Caleb Williams is going to be the face of the NFL soon. That was a good way to end it. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you all for being here. As always, bear down.